Welcome back to Common Ground, an inside look at Suffolk County. I'm your host, Sheriff Steve Tompkins. Now, on this side of the program, I've got a real interesting guest. Her name is Zakiyyah Sutton. And here's the interesting thing about Miss Sutton. So, I hire Miss Sutton to come and work in my communications department about a year or so ago. I mean, she's great at what she does. She writes like extraordinarily well. She's all of that. So she comes to the Sheriff's Department, gets the job, and then decides, you know what, I think I want to do my own thing. I want to freelance. I want to start creating programming. How about that? But what she did create was a program called D.A.S.H, and she's going to talk to you about that today. And simply put, it's a self-defense program that she put together for women. And so, although she was not hired to do that, she has made an outstanding contribution not only to the Sheriff's Department, but to all of Suffolk County. So, without further ado, Ms. Sutton, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, yeah. Did I have any choice? Listen, talk to us about D.A.S.H, the D.A.S.H program. First and foremost, what does D.A.S.H stand for?
Defensive aids in situations of help.
Okay.
Which essentially means you're being provided with tools you can use if you're in physical danger. Now,
what inspired you to create this program?
Well, part of it was definitely a personal experience being a young woman living in the inner city and just realizing some of the dangers that women face every day. And not wanting to feel vulnerable,
right,
and feeling that if someone, should suddenly attack, I wouldn't know what to do. And so coming to the Sheriff's Department, I definitely met a lot of officers that had skill sets that I felt women could benefit from. And I felt like it would be a great idea for them to use those skill sets and share them,
right,
with people that need them. And then after talking to you and having you realize how important, not having you realize, but bringing it to you, and
yeah,
and no, but really thank you for that, because if you hadn't realized and recognized how important it was, it never would have happened. And I know that it's important to you too, and that's the only reason.
Well, I mean, clearly one of the big things that we do at the Sheriff's Department is look at youth violence and domestic violence. So when you approached me with the program, it just made all the sense in the world. So now you're talking about the program. How was it put together? Did you go to our training department? Who actually teaches the program? And tell the folks at home what it entails. What is the program? If they go to the program, how long will they be there? What will they learn? So first and foremost, who teaches the program?
The program is taught by trainers at the Training Academy. So these are officers that train the officers that come in, so they're very skilled at what they do. And it's also supervisor of training, Jose Mojica, and he's the head of training, so he helped me kind of put it all together and decide what specific physical moves and what it would look like. And then in terms of actually getting it implemented, that was a matter of doing a nice long proposal, figuring out all the logistics, because figuring out liability issues and all those concerns, and then going to the legal department and having them realize that the benefits outweigh whatever issues may arise. And then after that, we had to do a dress rehearsal and figure out all the details. And from there, we just booked all the dates and tried to travel as many places as possible.
So tell us about the program. What does the program look like?
The program is a 3-hour time block, and it has a PowerPoint presentation that features a bunch of safety tips on everything from preventing home invasion to making eye contact with someone that may be watching you. And then we have a physical component that's basically scenario-based training. Everything from sexual assault to kidnapping to theft. And that's basically a bunch of individual moves that they learn. If somebody grabs you a certain way, if they grab you from behind, how do you get out of that circumstance? And then at the end, the instructors get into these big red man suits, which all the women love that part. And then they get to take everything they learned and put it together and use it from there.
So now, how many times has the program actually hit the street? How have you been out there, and where have you gone? Where have you taken it?
Well, it launched in October of last year. We started off at the Reggie Lewis Center. And then we took it to Winthrop at the Cummings Elementary School. And next up, we're going to take it to Grove Hall at the Grove Hall Community Center, and that's January 22nd.
And so how do you let people know about the program and its benefits? How do you get the word out?
Well, for one, we do press releases, which is what I was actually hired to do.
No kidding, really? How about that? Yeah. Funny how that happens, from press releases to creating programs, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Well, I had to tie it in together. So press releases definitely is a big part of that, and then getting it in the paper. And also we keep a tracking list of all the people that participate, and we call them, or I call them,
right.
And let them know when the next one's coming up. Because a lot of it's word of mouth, and they've been telling all their friends, so
Right.
we've been good.
So now, is there a particular age range for this? I mean, is it for teenagers, 20s, 30s, 70-year-old folks? Who can come? Who can participate?
18 and up.
Okay.
And we've had a pretty diverse crowd already, all races, all backgrounds, everything from 18 to 74.
Okay.
And in fact, some of our most enthusiastic participants have been older. And it doesn't really matter the physical abilities either. We've had people that are very physically fit and other people who don't really get out often, and they've all benefited from it the same.
So how many trainers, I know you said you have Jose who's there. How many trainers do you have actually working with the women? Well, first and foremost, how big of the class participants, how many participants have showed up for each class?
About 20 to 25.
That's a good
for
sized
each.
class.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many instructors do you have?
3 or 4 for each
Okay.
one.
All right. And they walk them through the whole process?
Yes.
So now let me ask you, at the end of the class, do you actually have the participants either fill out a form or checklist? Do you get some feedback from them that speaks to what they felt about the program and what they've learned from the program? And if you do, talk to us about the information that you asked them.
Yes, I hand out an evaluation sheet at the end of each program and ask them everything from what they've learned, what they felt was missing, if they would come again, if they would recommend it to anyone, and basically what they got from it, if they felt that it was what they were expecting.
Right.
And so far the feedback has been pretty well. They love the instructors in particular, the chemistry they have with each other, and I think that the instructors' hard work is part of the reason this has been so successful.
Right.
Because really they know that they care, and that makes a difference.
Now, say you wanted, say a senior citizens facility wanted you to come in and bring the program. Can you tailor the program for someone that's, say, maybe 50, 55, 60, 70 years old? They're not going to probably have the same mobility or flexibility as someone in their 20s and 30s, or is it just that one set package that needs one size fits all? How does that work?
We definitely can tailor it. We've already got calls about that already, about seniors wanting a specific program for them. And I have been talking to Jose Mojica about the opportunity to do that. So that is something we're looking into for the future. As of now, we're just trying to reach as many people as possible, which is why we hadn't gotten to that yet. But we definitely can tailor it. The moves that we do already are something senior citizens can do, which is why I think the program is so great, because it doesn't require you to have to do too much movement.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, anybody can really do it. So.
Now, after it's all been said and done, have you had any interaction or any conversations, like say a week or 2 weeks later with some of the participants, and have you kind of gotten an understanding or feeling of how they felt about the program 2 or 3 weeks removed?
Yes, absolutely. I've spoken to a lot of them, maybe even a month after, specifically the Reggie Lewis participants.
Right.
Because when I do the press releases, I like to get quotes and hear about their thoughts of how it went. And I was actually surprised to see how enthusiastic they were even weeks after the program happened.
Right.
They were telling me they told all their friends, and which I believe that, because they really feel like they learned a lot from it. And they really appreciate all the work that we did, and they appreciate the fact that it's free as well. They emphasize that a lot, so great feedback.
Why women and not women and men?
Well, women tend to more often than not be targets of sexual assault and theft because they're portrayed as weak or easy targets.
Right.
And so that's why I feel like it's important to dispel that myth, because it isn't true. And I think that a lot of women have kind of bought into that. And I think this program proves that you don't have to. You do not have to resort to a feeling of powerlessness.
So now when women come to the program, do you give them a packet of information when they leave to say, okay, if you need these types of social services, these are the agencies that you should reach out to? Have you done that?
We have a PowerPoint presentation that includes all that information in
Okay.
it. In addition to
Do they
the
get a copy of that PowerPoint package?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
We give them a whole packet. We give them the PowerPoint presentation. We give them our Suffolk County Sheriff's Department bags, and we give them a whistle that's also a flashlight and a keychain that they can use as well.
Okay, I mean, it would seem to me that if you're looking at something that's more holistic in nature, it's great that the ladies come and they learn what they learn.
Yeah.
But, if something happens, if they, God forbid, experience domestic violence or what have you, or they just need some information from one of
Yes.
these agencies, it seems to me that it would make sense that we are providing them with that information
Yes.
because clearly our mandate is to help these 730,000 citizens of Suffolk County,
Absolutely.
So, but now, it's really funny, Zakiyyah, that you, well, it's funny and beneficial that you've created this program. But I'm just curious, like, were you sitting at your desk one day kind of like saying, you know what, I've written like 19 gazillion press releases. And actually, folks, that's not all she does. I mean, she does a whole bunch of stuff, so it's not just press releases. But when kind of light dawned on you that you wanted to do this, take me through that process. You mentioned the reasoning and the necessity for having this program, but when did it actually hit you that this is something that you wanted to do?
Well, when I first came to the Sheriff's Department, I was trying to get to know as much about it as possible. And part of that was researching all your 5 points and everything that you stand for and what you want out of your administration.
Right.
And so one thing that struck with me was domestic violence.
Right.
And so then when I read that, I thought, domestic violence, there's something that we might be able to create to counteract that situation. And that's where D.A.S.H came from.
I got you. So folks at home, just to let you know, when Zakiyyah references my 5 points, real long story short, what we're looking at, what this administration really has kind of wrapped its arms around is 1, care, custody, and control, which is what the taxpayers pay us to do. 2 is education on both sides of the curve for kids beginning in middle school, going all the way up through high school, to say, look, if you come to jail, come for a tour, come for a visit, but don't stay. Don't get yourself in trouble and don't fall into the system. And then on the back end, we work with those that are with us to help them either get their GEDs. We have special ed programs for folks that need special ed. And we also place a pretty serious emphasis on vocational education. We then follow that up with talking about youth and domestic violence, 2 things that are crucially important. We think is just something that really needs to consistently have attention paid to it. We follow that with a discussion around detox and mental health. Let me backtrack. We follow that with the need to have more beds for detox and mental health. And so we talk to a lot of legislators about the fact that in the absence of detox programs or mental health beds, the Sheriff's Department becomes the de facto mental health or detox facility. Now, folks will come to us and we can help them with their situation, but on average, men are with us 14 months, women are with us for 8 months. They're not staying for a heck of a long time. And so there really needs to be that, we really need to have that attention paid to the fact that folks really do need to have detox and mental health help out there. And then the last component is reentry. Then reentry basically is folks that come with us are going back home. So the question then becomes, how do you want these folks to return home? In the same kind of state of mind as when they showed up, worse or better? It's our contention that folks need to go home better. Hopefully that would help with them recidivating, or in essence coming back to jail, which is something that we don't want, and this is something that their families don't want, and this is something that they don't want. But the tools need to be in place to help folks. In the absence of healthcare, employment, and housing, it gets real difficult out there sometimes. If, in fact, folks don't have a strong place, a steady place to go, either family or social service agencies, keep in mind that first 24 to 72 hours after a person has left the facility is really that real crucial time. And so programs like the ones that you've created, Zakiyyah, really speak to the fact that this is empowering. And this helps women. It helps the entire family unit, frankly, but this helps women really kind of get their arms around safety and safeguarding themselves. But do you have a discussion with the participants about their kids and the needs that their kids may have, whether they're male or female, and ways in which, in fact, now that I'm saying this is probably another idea that I'm giving you for the program that you're going to go out and create, but working with kids, because there's empirical data that speaks to the fact that kids of the incarcerated are more likely to offend and get themselves in trouble. Have you gone down that kind of path to think about ways in which we can help the kids of the incarcerated?